Welcome to the Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this show, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live here in the Villages to get perspectives of what is happening here in the Villages, Florida. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shout-outs for supporters in episodes.
This is Mike Roth. And listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project for you. This podcast brings you knowledge, inspiration, and a lot of things that people need to know about the villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Creating this podcast is a labor of love, even though it demands more time I can easily spare. Now, here's where you come in. You can help us keep the podcast alive and thriving. How? By becoming a supporter. The easy way for you to support us is to visit our podcast webpage, openforuminthevillagesflorida.com, and click on the supporter button at the top of the page, or the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those headphones on. I hope everyone enjoys today's show. This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. I'm here today with Genice Shaw. Thanks for joining me, Genice.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Genice was one of my students in the Podcasting 101 class in the Enrichment Academy and wanted to see how it's really done in real life. So we're here to take you through a show. Is that okay?
Yes, that's great.
Yep. Genice is a former concert pianist, composer, arranger, and music teacher for children with special needs like Asperger's. Genice began piano at the age of 5 years old. Does that mean you had a piano at home?
No, actually, I say we because my middle brother started taking lessons as well. So we had to go to the neighbor. And after a month, that's when my parents went, enough of this traveling next door. Let's get them a piano.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, maybe 5 or 6 years old, I discovered that my grandmother had a player piano.
Oh, wow.
And us kids went upstairs to try to play it with these hundreds of rolls of paper music and discovered the bellows didn't work. We tinkled around with the keys a little bit, and I never took up piano until after I learned how to play the trombone. And my trombone teacher said, Mike, you need to learn how to play the piano.
Right.
Yeah. Then I graduated from high school and I ran out of time. Haven't picked up a trombone since then. You went to what college?
I went to Brookdale Community College in Lincroft, New Jersey, graduated from there, and then went to Massachusetts College of Pharmacy, because even in music, my mother wanted me to have something in case, what if something happened to you and you can't perform anymore? How are you going to support yourself? Deciding on my second love is science. And so then I worked at Vanderbilt University, investigational medications, and
My brother lived in Nashville, just down the street from, when I go, West
boy,
End Avenue.
Yes, and boy, it's grown so much since I was there. And then after that, went into teaching and decided I wanted to get my undergrad, and I got my undergrad degree at Columbia College in, where is that? Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, I was thinking of Columbia University.
Yeah, everybody thinks that. There's several Columbias. There's one in Chicago, and they're pretty much all over. Yeah.
Didn't know that. You learned how to play after the piano, organ, and then the bass and drums.
Actually, the bass, I decided that I wanted a bass guitar. Bought a bass guitar, and I fumbled around with it, figured out how to play. When I moved up here, Dave, I can't remember, I think it's Williams, but I can't remember his last name. Anyway, he gives bass classes. I guess he's been doing it forever since he's been up here. So I took the bass from him just to learn the fundamentals of where my hand placement, the correct hand placement, because that's really important. And then, boom, from there. Drums, I just taught myself.
Okay. And why don't you tell our listeners about your concert career as a concert pianist?
All right. My first concert, I believe I was 7, because at 5, I broke my wrist and compound fracture. So my mother knew this is it. I was not a sports person. My brothers are into sports. And she just knew that music was for me. And she was correct. As soon as that healed, I was right back on the piano playing. Most of the concerts were done at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in Brooklyn, New York. The Commodore Hotel, which is now, I think, something else, but I played there. Also, Memphis, Tennessee, Canada, pretty much all over.
So how did you wind up in Nashville?
My father passed away, and I was tired of New Jersey. It was time then for me to go on and get my life together. And of course, I'd visited Nashville, and knowing that it's Music City, that was calling my name. Acquired a job at Vanderbilt University in the pharmacy department, and then did my composing for up-and-coming Christian artists and some country artists, playing background. I did some background music, background piano, anything that was really needed in music, I could do that.
And why did you move to Orlando?
Beautiful sunny weather, warmth, tired of shoveling snow, tired of cleaning the windshield off and freezing my piano fingers. And I took a job at a doctor's office there that had a pharmacy inside. And after about a year, it was time for me to make a change because I was tired of pharmacy. So I went into teaching, and I taught music in the school. And that was like the best ever, because the little children, elementary school, that especially children that you can look at them and see that there's a need. They may not be able to throw a ball like another student. They may not be able to speak like other children, but music was something that they would gravitate toward. So I actually gave each one of them, when I say gave, I mean handed them an instrument, and they would say, Miss G, I don't know how to play it. Not a problem, we'll work it out. So I started a little band in elementary school.
That's good. And when did you stop being a concert pianist?
Remember that my mother said, if something happened to you, how are you going to support yourself? In 1991, I was diagnosed with lupus and scleroderma. Now, I didn't know what either one of them entailed. And I had a rash on my hand. I went to the doctor, and he said it was carpal tunnel with the rash, and I didn't believe him. That means surgery on my hands, and no one's going to do that to me for that, because being a concert pianist. So I saw another doctor, and that's when the diagnosis came through with all the tests that I had lupus and scleroderma. So for months, I couldn't bear for my fingers to even touch the piano keys. I couldn't bend them. I couldn't smile because it affected my skin and the muscles and all of my body. So I was on a lot of different investigational medications. And after a year or so, things start turning around. And I guess I've been in remission now for a good 20 years.
That's great.
And I'll know if something's getting ready. But the doctors here, I found really good doctors here that keep me where I need to be. And then back to the piano. So I actually could say I made lemonade out of lemons.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break here and listen to an Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Craig Curtis.
But all scientists feel, all doctors feel, that you should definitely engage your brain and get involved in crossword puzzles, Sudoku, whatever types of brain stimulation you enjoy. And
with over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the Villages community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis. Genice, who is the most influential person in your life?
I'm going to say, and I tell her this whenever I speak to her, my fifth grade teacher.
Fifth grade teacher.
My fifth grade teacher, who now lives in Boca Raton, Florida. And I don't think there's been a month since she was my teacher in fifth grade that we have not spoken over the phone. And just knowing that I'm going to school and going into her classroom made a big difference in my life, because home life was not nice oftentimes. As a child, you hope that there's somebody around that you can gravitate to and that will understand. I never told her what was going on. She just sensed things. And She turned into almost like a big sister, and I love her dearly. And it was because of her and her music background and how she treated me that when I became an adult and were around children and teaching, I saw how she would choose a child that was quiet, not
Mm-hmm.
saying anything.
Right.
That's the child that she would choose to do something because she felt they needed. And that's what she did to me. And now she's like become like my surrogate mother. And I visit her in Boca Raton, Florida. Yeah.
It's not a bad drive from
Yeah,
here.
no, it's not.
Okay. When you play music, are you playing by ear or do you actually read all the notes?
I can look at the music.
Mm.
And you give me about 2 minutes and look at the chord changes and all. And then I play it depending on what it is. If it's classical music, then it needs to be played exactly the way it's written.
Correct.
If it's jazz or any other,
Let's say I said play Frank Sinatra's New York, New York, New York.
then I would play it the way I hear it and the way I feel it. Even though I'd have music in front of me,
So
I
if you
just
did,
glance.
you wouldn't even need the music.
Not really. No, sing it and then would start playing it, have some idea of it.
Okay, good. And why did you move to the Villages?
It's the friendliest town, the Villages. Yeah. One, getting out of the city and the rat race of and coming someplace where it's quiet. You retire. There's so much to do up here. But we visited here several times before making any decision. But we're close enough in Orlando that we could do that. Then spend a weekend, then spend a month. And that month, after driving all around the Villages as well as Ocala, we knew, okay, this is pretty cool. And it's a little bit closer also because we're closer to Ocala, jumping on 75. And now it's maybe about a 9.5-hour drive to Nashville as opposed to a 12-hour drive. Convenience.
Okay. You didn't take the trolley, did you?
Yeah.
Now, my favorite question is, after the trolley tour, did you buy your house?
No.
Oh.
No. Actually, we went to get a little coffee drink from one of the little coffee places. I don't know if I could say the name, but you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
They're in something land. We come up for lunch and all like that. The house was bought the day before we were leaving, getting ready to leave. Saw it in the little Homes paper and said,
Right.
That seems like to be the area that we want to live in. Let's go over there. Looked at it. That was it.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's a day or two after the trolley tour for you.
Yeah.
In our improv shows, we have an improv number based on the trolley tour. Oh, yeah. Usually the trolley driver is drinking a beer. What's your favorite funny story that you tell people?
This was in Nashville. A friend wanted me to sing at his funeral with another man, and he came over to the house, and we practiced a few songs. Then the day of the funeral, at the funeral home, I'm playing. This gentleman starts singing, and then all of a sudden he grabs his throat. And I wasn't even paying any attention to him because I was just doing my thing. And then after the song ends, he comes over and says, my voice, I don't have a voice. I said, what do you mean you don't have a voice? And he goes, I'm allergic to flowers. Who the heck goes to a funeral? You know, there's flowers at a funeral and there's flowers at a wedding. Now, you know you're going to be standing by those flowers. Now, what does that tell you? Either move the flowers, don't stand by the flowers, or don't go to the funeral. I wind up taking over the whole thing. This guy had like about a whole list of songs, probably about 10 songs. I cut it down to 4, and they were real quick. And we ended on Amazing Grace, but an up-tempo Amazing Grace, because I do believe everybody was ready to leave then. And then I get outside, and one of the people that came to the funeral asked, come over here, and beckoned for me to come over. And I said, yes. And she said, girl, let me tell you something. This is the best funeral I have ever been to in my life. And when I die, you're going to play for my funeral. My response was, okay, as I eat back from the car. So I had never experienced anything like that before. So I consider it funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny then, and it's funny now. I have characters that I dress up in, that I hide behind.
What do you mean?
let's see, we have St. Patty's Day coming up, right?
Right.
I have this character called Lottie the Leprechaun, and it's a complete leprechaun, and I just walk the streets here in the villages, just show up anywhere. Also, there's one called Officer Squirrel. He's a retired security guard, and I dress up. No one would know it's me. I have one called Fanny Collard. All these characters came out when I was at the elementary school, and I would just walk into the classroom dressed like that, and they really thought, is this grandma or great grandma? And it was Miss G. And whenever when I'm in that character mode, I actually become that person. I'm not Janice anymore. I'm whoever. I'm Officer Squirrel or Fanny Collard Greens or Lottie the Leprechaun.
Okay, so you're a real performer.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Good. One of my favorite questions for guests is, if you could go back in time today to the time that you were 24, 25 years of age, and you could give 25-year-old Janice a piece of advice, what advice would you give her?
Oh, I would have left home probably when I was 22 and moved to Europe or something like that. I would also, you may have some rough road ahead, but you're going to get through it and do you want to do without disrespecting yourself or people around you, because you still have time. Definitely.
Have you ever been to Europe?
No, been to South America.
Oh.
Europe. Yeah, that's what I say. But it was
South America is a big place.
Santiago, Chile.
Santiago, Chile. Okay, yeah.
It was nice. It was very nice. Yeah.
Good, good. Thanks for joining us today on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Janice.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout-out for supporters Gerald Long, Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romich, Paul Sorgen, Kathy Loving, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening to the show. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025. All rights reserved.